Well, I couldn't believe it, but I've actually finished all the color work on the inside of the little dark ride project. So I thought I would do a real quick VR walkthrough just to check it out and make some commentary. So let me see if I can get in there. Get in there. Whoops. Here I am in the load unload area. One of the changes I made is I included cutout versions of these characters just so this wasn't just one big flat surface. There's a bunch of stuff that I've kind of left out that would be in a real dark ride. One of those things is there would be a control booth or someplace to dispatch these vehicles as they're coming and going. So that would need to fit in here somewhere and somehow be themed to the environment. Making our way around the corner here into the first scene. Everything's painted up. One of the changes I made based on notes from Joe and Cicero was I made the key on the mayor bigger. I think I probably could go be bigger still, but just to really play up that he's the mayor of Pumpkintown. Daniel Singer will notice that I've done an homage to Alice in Wonderland with these very obvious Mary Blair ripoff signs, but I couldn't help myself. Moving my way into here in the sort of first or second scene that's sort of in the countryside. All the flats are working. Now, one of the things I've kind of gotten away with, which I couldn't necessarily get away with in a real attraction, is that the turning radiuses are based on the turning ability of the vehicle. And blacklight rides, little bus bar rides, can actually turn in tight corners. One of the things that I've kind of gotten away with is these characters are really, really close to the person in the vehicle, and they'll definitely get messed with by people on the ride. So in reality, these characters would have to be pushed back quite a bit. I've kind of taken advantage of that and have them really, really quite close. Also, these are flat versions of what would eventually be dimensional characters or semi-dimensional characters. So they're going to take up more space still. So my guess is a lot of this stuff would push back and be as far away from people touching as possible. I really like the idea of being amongst the characters and the set pieces. And to my defense, the ride that I think of when I think of being able to be that close to the set pieces and the figures is the Alice in Wonderland attraction at Disneyland, which a lot of it's grandfathered. You couldn't do this nowadays, but you can actually reach outside of the vehicle and touch the scenery, which I do not recommend doing, but it is definitely possible to do it. So the color's looking nice. I'm a little uncomfortable with my coloring abilities, but it works for this temporary sort of side project. And these characters are all in line work, and ultimately, I would love another artist to interpret these designs in a more painterly way. So it was a little bit more like a traditional dark ride. One of the other changes I made based on Joe and Sistero's comments was I pretty much had everybody sort of happy and gleeful, and he suggested this sort of play between the pumpkin pie seller's wife and this sort of the pie juggling character, pie seller, just as a way to create a dynamic quality between those characters. So moving around the corner, Danny Garland gave the suggestion of popping this sign out, which I think is a nice touch. And then here's that long hallway. Despite the fact that it's fairly simple, I think it does a good job of drawing your attention up rather against the walls. And originally I had the walls just black, assuming they would disappear. I've put murals on them, and I actually kind of like it. You don't must have pay attention to it, but I think they have a nice look. One other thing too that would in reality be in this area is there would definitely be probably an exit door here. This is the back wall of the attraction, so there would not only be exit doors here, maybe in other places, but also in each room you would definitely see exits, illuminated exit signs, which are just the reality of living in the physical world and being safe. But as you'll see in most attractions, those exit signs are pretty much everywhere. So working our way down here, I really like the way that the little forced perspective street works behind these guys. It's pretty simple and it's just a curved surface, but it's it has a nice effect, especially as you're turning the corner and you're heading into the finale scene, which was the one I was the most apprehensive about coloring. There's just so many pieces in here. Some more Joel and Cicero recommendations was to move this trolley conductor guy who was sticking out here to more play more with these characters here, so it felt more like they were all together singing together. And then also over here with the policeman, he's sort of gesturing into the space rather than just sort of just standing there. So a lot of these characters are sort of pulling you into the middle. The same over here with the cat. He's focused inward as opposed to outward. And then I got these big wraparound flats, which also had this sort of forced perspective effect uh, back here too, with the skyline and the balloon and some of the characters. So, like the other scenes, these characters would be dimensional and probably be pushed back a little bit, just so it wasn't so easy for you to reach out and mess with them. But I think it would work. And then finally, coming around the corner, we see Stephen Lawrence's wonderful posters. I added a little squash rat just for something here in the corner. And then we turn the corner and it goes from sort of night to morning light. And you see our little goodbye hosts as they're thanking us for coming. So Cullen has just finished the soundtrack, and the next job is going to be putting the soundtrack in here, and then I'll be rendering off a ride through with all the music included, and that stuff is just really, really wonderful. So thanks a lot for going along on this little side project ride, and I'll have more to post soon. Thanks.